Sure. I'm all for it.
I mean, you've done that before.
I've done it. I've gotten over my fear of it. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a viewership to speak of, but there is this one guy who shows up to ramble about Free Willy and dinosaurs and the Scream franchise. Those are his special interests. It's like, everybody's entitled to have them, but those are very, very specific.
Well, I mean, I'm here in Free Willy Town. They took over Oaks Park, which I've gone to a ton of times to film a lot of the scenes for it. And then I worked on a movie. I was the second unit director and editor of a Jason James Richter movie about 10 years back, where he was like the second build actor. And he was an absolute asshole diva in the end. Oh, wait, we're recording. Hello. Jason's so cool.
Okay, well, I guess we're rolling then. Hi, I'm Trevor, and this is my very good friend Sean.
Hello.
Sean the Dandy, as you see there, is his Instagram or whatever social media handle. It's something he goes by on the internet. And you are listening to and or watching Catching Up on Cinema. We've kind of put the podcast on hiatus, but Sean kind of pulled me out of semi-retirement. He said, "Hey, buddy, you want to record something sometime?" I said, that's a thing I used to do way back when, a few months ago. So let's do it again. Why not?
Yeah. It's a thing we've been talking about every once in a while over the last 4 years since we last did one of these episodes together.
Correct. Yeah. The last time Sean was on was a grand old time. Like, we did have a great time. It was a great conversation, but it has been like 4 years. And I believe we talked about Fearless.
We did.
Yes.
We sure did.
And
maybe that episode was long too. Maybe you were like, I need a recovery time before I have to edit an episode this long again. So you needed some time away from me. I take it.
Now, you see, part of the reason we were doing this is because Sean had texted me saying he had been listening to our backlog recently. He was like, "Dang, you guys are actually like not bad at that podcast thing." It's like, thanks, buddy. I've only been doing it for like...
You've come so far. You used to suck, and now you're like kind of good.
I mean, that's what it felt like. I listened to your stuff recently, and it didn't hurt this time. It didn't hurt quite so bad. But
for the record, it's never hurt. I love it all.
Well, the point I'm getting to here is that we have some 3-hour episodes. I don't know if you got into any of those.
No. If I've seen them, I probably went, I'll just do it a 1 hour one instead.
Yeah, so. Yeah. My own older brother, who also, he actually is the guy who got me into podcasting in the first place. We did an experimental thing on YouTube called the Hoppa Broadcast.
I remember the branding for that.
Yeah.
I don't think I checked them out.
Yeah, we only did a few, but that was like early days, like before either of us were doing this thing semi-regularly. But
back when you were running your Asian Badger WordPress blog, perhaps?
Yeah, in the unemployed days. Blog every day because I got no job. Got to do something.
Some gold came out of it, so it all worked out.
Yeah, but those 3-hour episodes came out of some unexpected movies. Like Mortal Kombat, I think, was actually one of the first ones. The Paul W.S. Anderson Mortal Kombat. Somehow we squeezed 3 hours out of that stone.
It's like double the length of the movie itself.
Yeah, no one on earth should have that much to say about that movie, but
I'm guessing you maybe tangented a little bit on that one.
You think?
Or you just did a play-by-play recap in slow-mo. One of the two.
I mean, I do tend to get granular with these things. We're not going to be doing that today. I don't think it's possible. I don't think either of us have the capacity to remember this movie in that degree of detail, let alone have the recall for it. But in general, like we did actually used to get pretty granular about things, or at least I did. My regular co-host Kyle, I could see him like dying listening to me sometimes. So it's like I had to know when to throttle myself just a little bit.
Sure.
But to dispel the mystery as to what film we're going to be talking about here today, we're going to be talking about something that came out just this past weekend. And in fact, the very day that we're talking about it has some relevancy to other films that just came out as well. And I'll explain what I mean by that later. We're going to be talking about Louis Mandylor's Prisoner of War from 2025. Obviously, it's distributed by Well Go, who specialize in just vaguely Asian cinema, just the region of Asia, which of course is, a gigantic sprawling continent with many cultures therein. But that's what they do. Just like if it's vaguely Asian, Well Go will consider putting their label on it. For a Scott Adkins film, that's actually kind of a big get because not all of his movies get huge distribution. And Well Go, especially in the DVD and Blu-ray market, are pretty solid. Like they have a vast catalog. So this movie will have a physical release, I'm certain. Whereas some of his other films absolutely have not, which is kind of vexing for me, who is a collector of his films. But yeah, this is directed by Louis Mandylor, who the way I like to package him for people who don't know who he is, because I know him by face because I've seen him in enough things. I just kind of have a general familiarity with him. I follow him on Instagram. He is the younger brother from My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
That was the only thing in his filmography that leapt out at me. I'm like, I know this. All three of those movies he's in. I didn't expect he'd have something like this in him. Having only been familiar with that character.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's a tone shift for sure.
A little bit of a leap. One wouldn't have seen that coming. But before we get into it, we kind of just launched into things because Sean, you set me up so well. How about you introduce yourself? Because it has been 4 years since anybody on this podcast has seen or heard of you. So what's your deal, Sean? Who are you?
Deal? I mean, I'm a filmmaker. Trevor and I go way back. We keep crossing paths because we were both, I don't know, silly film buffs with overlapping senses of humor and probably a lot of the same guilty pleasures, I would say, which I will just spoiler alert. This movie qualifies. I had a great time with it. And yeah, I don't know what to say about myself. You go ahead.
Well, I'll do a little advertising on your behalf.
Okay,
Sean is my good buddy from college. Actually met him through my roommate, who I've got a wedding coming up in August of next year. So it's kind of been incentivizing me to reach out to folks that I've kind of lost touch with because unfortunately I'm one of those people. I do lose people pretty easily. And the fellow who introduced us, his name is James. He was in a program at the college that we went to with Sean. And it just so happened that Sean was working on a project, like one of the only like semi like narrative projects. Because a lot of the filmmaking being done at that school, it's Evergreen, by the way, Evergreen State College.
It's artsy, experimental, and the staff, at least the staff member that I had in the curriculum was like avidly anti-narrative. Like bless her, she was great. I'm grateful to her for a lot of stuff, but I'll never forget the seminar when my jaw dropped when she said, story-based films are unethical because they enslave the audience to the director's vision. And I thought, what the fuck have I gotten myself into? Like, oh no.
What sucks about that is that the recent history and legacy of that university is, it's like that school is
it's tanked. It's not the first thing I put on my resume, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's truly unfortunate because I, for one, I thought I got a lot out of it. I thought it was a very good experience for me as a human. Like I became an adult through lessons learned on that campus.
Yeah.
I had a good time in general. I felt I actually did apply myself and learn some things. But like 5 seconds after I left, like the news was just filled with like how much of a shit show it turned into. And these days it's I don't know, it's like a gag. And it's really unfortunate because like I actually did like that place a lot. And I don't harbor any ill will towards it, but a lot of folks do these days for a variety of reasons, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you list it on like your social media profile and you get into an argument with someone on the internet, they will look at your profile and just use that against you. So I think I removed it.
It's charged. That's actually why I hesitated to name it. I mean, I've named it previously on the podcast, so it's like, may as well just throw it out there. But like, there is hesitation to share that with some people. Have to be in the circle before you share that bit about yourself. Like,
yeah, I get it.
Cult or something.
Yeah, it's changed. It's definitely changed. The warm feelings were like very strong for during my time there, with little hints of like, oh, that's a bad omen, and then afterwards, it's just explosion.
Yeah, and it continues to implode as far as I understand.
Now that said, I may be, as someone on the outside, looking at Evergreen the way that the entire country and Fox News looks at my hometown of Portland as a literally on fire war zone 24/7 when it's like barely changed. So like, maybe I'm doom and glooming it, but since people know of Evergreen mainly by its reputation and not necessarily the reality of being there, it does have an impact when someone learns that you spent significant time there. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and like you had kind of hinted at there, like part of it could just be outside perception as well. It could just be a lot of smokescreen, honestly. But who knows? Anyway, point is, I was introduced.
That was a tangent.
It's going to be a lot of those. So let's talk about everything.
Well, being at Evergreen was like being a prisoner of war.
Yeah, we had that dirt circle where people just drew down every morning. Certainly no drum circles. or somewhat terrifying women in Lolita wear who stalked the campus at 3 a.m. playing accordions, I believe.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Actually, they were like a friend of a friend. I don't remember their name, but I do remember. Like, actually, I was like, "Oh, you actually know them?" Like, I've happened upon that person so many times. It's really fucking creepy. Person. They just have very unusual schedules and very unusual interests.
And a desire to, make the campus feel like you wandered into Amelie. It's great.
I swear, if you gave that person a red balloon or something, it'd be okay.
Oh, that'd be a different vibe.
Yeah, we're packing up and we're leaving. It's like never to return. Some supernatural shit going on. Anyway, Sean was like aggressively pursuing a narrative project despite the circumstances that we talked about, where he was in an environment where he was being strongly urged not to do that, but you kind of pushed ahead anyway. It was like a nonverbal story, but it still had kind of a human touch to it.
Yeah, I mean, I had my cake and ate it too. It was experimental in the sense that there's no dialogue and it's just people fighting each other. But that's the kind of movies I really wanted to make at the time, and in large part still do, which is why I enthusiastically agreed to watch this film with you.
Yeah, so Sean and I share a lot of interests. He's just kind of pursued the dream on a grander scale, and he is an actual filmmaker. I actually have on my shelf of Blu-rays behind me a copy of a feature film that he made called Coup de Cinema.
Oh man.
And I'm in 7 seconds of it, I think.
But some of the best 7 seconds of it.
Some of the best 7 seconds you'll ever see. But I have it on my shelf. It's awesome to know that I have a friend who actually successfully made a feature film, and it's actually quite good.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I hope to get another chance. It's been 14 years. I like to think I've learned how to make a better one since then, but it's all talk and bluster until proven otherwise.
Okay. Well, one last thing before we actually dive in. You have a project going on right now that's kind of been like what has been occupying you for the past 14 years. You should at least mention it, Sean. Come on.
It's been in development for that long. Yeah. It's been occupying me for about 4 or 5 years, okay. Amongst other things. I'm a relentless creative juggler, but this one's stuck, and it's a puppet thing. It's called Fogtown. It's a whole a whole big thing. We're trying to make a series. We made one episode, and we're working on a video game, like old school choice-based FMV title, which is coming along well. And it's just kind of like our silly version of Sherlock Holmes through the lens of a bunch of other things I enjoy, and kind of leaning really far into the kind of more neurodivergent aspects of the Sherlock character, and adding some touches that I think aren't really as present in Sherlock as we know him, like having extreme ADHD, basically, but in a world that can't diagnose or support that, and the struggles and benefits he gets in crime solving from it. Just kind of relentlessly getting distracted by things and pursuing them at warp speed, whether or not they are actually relevant to the investigation. It's been a lot of fun. So we're gearing up to pitch the thing. It can be found online at just Fogtown series across YouTube and all socials and stuff. And hopefully it'll be occupying the next decade of my life too.
I hope so, man. Like it seems like it's really brought you a lot of joy. It's certainly a lot of work. I've seen some of the behind the scenes stuff, and just on a technical level, it's so very polished. And I'm sure the puppetry is quite a challenge. I remember hearing that about was it Team America, World Police? Apparently, that was like an unforeseen circumstance of the production where it's like, oh, this is hard. It looks cheap and stupid, but man, this is hard.
I think they set themselves up for much more challenges too, because their puppets are like they're way more complex. Like,
right?
Like I think they're like marionette style with like full bodies and like a lot of legs. Like we're always shooting chest up because
yours are more like rod puppets, right?
They're rod puppets with dangling legs that can't really be operated. So we just kind of slide them around. And they don't have mouths, so we're not worrying about lip sync. That's a godsend. I don't know firsthand the pains that they went through to make that movie, but I can imagine it, and it's impressive.
I mean, put it this way: I remember meeting up with you in Portland. Make annual trips down there and try to hang out with Sean whenever I get a chance. I remember on one such occasion, you suddenly found yourself available unexpectedly because the head fell off of a puppet, and there were repairs that needed to be done, and you're like, well, can't do nothing about that. I'm
Yeah, we are held hostage to the whims of their impromptu dismemberment.
But yeah, I've watched the pilot. It's terrific. It really the way the characters go so overboard is a delight to watch. Almost has like a Edgar Wright kind of like energy to it. There's a I don't know, an enthusiasm and an agility to the editing and the camera movements and stuff that made me think of that. But it's very much a unique thing. It has a really distinct aesthetic to it. Kind of makes me think a little bit of do you know the children's book artist John Sheshka, I think is how you pronounce his name? The Stinky Cheese Man.
Oh yeah, I was raised on that book.
It kind of like the character,
that's a seminal part of my childhood.
Yeah, the character designs make me think of the Stinky Cheese Man just a little bit.
Totally. Yeah, I don't know if that was a conscious influence or not, because I'm not really responsible for the art direction of Fogtown. But it wouldn't surprise me if it were, or if there were similar, points of reference between both projects for other things that inspired it. So, yeah.
Looking forward to more.
I gotta read that book to my daughter soon.
Absolutely, I love it. I bring it up all the time, and you're like one of the only people that's actually remembered it.
It explains a lot now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like there's a simpatico there. You both were raised by the Stinky Cheese Man. Okay, so let's pivot from what Sean's been up to.
Speaking of stinky.
There you go. Got it. So, Prisoner of War.
Wow.
The reason we talked about this is I will claim full responsibility for this.
Mm-hmm.
I am a huge Scott Adkins fan. I was introduced to him as many martial arts film enthusiasts were. It was kind of the same deal for most of us. Via Undisputed 2, Last Man Standing. It was a direct-to-DVD movie that came out when I was in college, when I was at Evergreen.
Oh,
I
wow.
actually bought it when I was in college and watched it in our living room.
He's been at it for a while.
He was at it before then too. Like his career stems back to the early 2000s. He started in the Hong Kong system. He is British himself, but he got started in the Hong Kong system. He was not utilized exceptionally well, unlike some other Westerners that have dipped their toes into that arena. Like a lot of them get those like showcase roles, you know, where it's like, what was it? Brad Allen, I believe. He's the.
Oh yeah,
you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Gorgeous, right?
Yeah, both of us. See, we speak the same language here. Brad Allen and Gorgeous. That's a show. That's an instance of a showcase role where it's like this guy's Australian, I believe, if not British, and he is here to do some cool shit as like the final boss of this movie. Same goes for Benny Urquidez, famously worked with Jackie Chan on Wheels on Meals and Dragons Forever. He got to be the chief heavy in both of those movies, got like whole scenes dedicated to him. In Scott Adkins' case, it's like he had like a small role as his first thing. He got to be in a couple of Jackie Chan movies, one of which I honestly cannot confirm if he's actually in, The Accidental Spy. I know there's two versions of that movie. There's the international version and the Chinese version. I've only seen like the export version of that, so it could be that he's only in the Chinese version because I watched that damn thing. I own that DVD. He ain't in there.
Wow. Huh.
And he has a small role in The Medallion as well, which is not top.
An exceptional film.
An exceptional piece of most certainly A tier Jackie Chan. No, it's utter garbage.
Oh.
But he his role actually kind of similar case, I imagine. I believe the Chinese version actually features him more prominent. Like he's evident, like he's in the Medallion in every version, but I believe there's extra footage of him that was cut out for some reason. And then beyond that, the other early role of his I know of off the top of my head was, and I didn't know who he was at the time, was Unleashed, the Jet Li movie. He's one of the really cool guys. That's like the major set piece of the movie, with the exception of the closet fight, if you get the reference.
The closet fight.
The closet fight's a classic. That's a good
in Unleashed.
Yeah.
Closet.
So
are you being clever, or is it a literal closet fight? I've seen this movie so many times.
It's like a dressing room or a closet or something. Like it's super close quarters.
Oh, like is it like in the opening montage where they're like collecting debts and stuff? Or
oh, I believe it's I believe it's like the end of the movie actually. Like I think it's like the final challenge basically. It's a pale skinned fella. I don't actually know the name of the stunt fella. But he
okay, right, when they break into like the random apartment and are fighting through the different rooms there.
Tenement building.
Yeah, okay. I do remember that there was, yes, they move into a closet for a portion of the extended one-on-one, right?
And it's awesome. Like it's this awesome like extended beat in the fight where even the music kind of plays into it, where it's just this like thrumming bass line. Like the music kind of like it's like really bombastic and complex, and then it just like tapers down into like almost nothing, and they're just stuck in this closet like so close quarters that I think they're like doing the thing like Jackie Chan did where they're putting their chin in each other's eye sockets and stuff.
Classic. Boy, and totally for comic effect in Unleashed, clearly too.
Yeah, that's a very funny movie. Very Danny the dog, hilarious movie.
How could it not be funny? He eats food with his hands out of a can. That's kid stuff. Yeah,
he's a human. He's a human raised as a dog. Isn't that hilarious? It's like that Clifford movie, but instead of a kid, he's a dog. Don't you see? And they're in France for some reason, even though none of the principal cast are French.
Now, granted, for all the fun we're poking at it, is one of my favorite action movies of all time. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but like it just hits me in all the feels, and all the action is so splendid, and there's so much like unconventional stuff going on in it. Like, yeah, it's definitely a favorite.
I really like it too. We should talk about sometime, because
Okay.
we've talked about a Jet Li movie before in the form of Fearless, but Unleashed is one that doesn't get talked about very much, but I have very positive feelings for it. I think it's one of Jet Li's better dramatic performances, honestly,
Oh yeah.
in any language. Like even
Yeah.
even in his native Mandarin, like he is doing
And
with his
he's no slouch. Like, I've enjoyed his his acting, like his non-fighting acting, quite a bit too. Like as a baseline, but Unleashed or Danny the Dog was just kind of like, whoa, like this is what happens when you give him like material for like real challenging stuff, and I guess the right creative environment to like go all in with it. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it's underloved, but I'll make up for any lack of love it gets 100 times over.
You and me both. We'll talk about it someday, because I'm looking for an excuse to rewatch it. It's been ages. So.
Excellent.
But yeah, Scott Adkins has a very small role in that as a swimming pool fighter. he's in a BMX.
The arena.
Yeah. He does a backflip. That's kind of his contribution to the movie. he has like spiked hair, so he looks like a Backstreet Boy, and he does a backflip. It's kind of
legend.
The beginning of a legend. A whole career set in motion off of
Pretty
the
much.
busted tips and that backflip. But point is, basically, I'm a Scott Adkins diehard. I've actually made it kind of my mission to own all of his movies physically. However, unfortunately, in the age of streaming, that's not a possibility at the moment.
Yeah.
Which really sucks, because some of his good ones actually are streaming only. Diablo came out, I think, only like 6 months ago, maybe even less. It's a Chilean one he did with Marco Zaror, and it was very good. They both turned in very good performances, has some great fights. But basically, because I have that mission to collect all of his movies, I also end up watching all of his movies. So anytime something pops up on the calendar with him in it, to any capacity, I gotta watch it. Like I can't tell you, Sean, how many fucking Blu-rays I have where he's in it for 5 seconds. He does fuck all in this. Like Doctor Strange. He's in. Actually, he made the front credits of Doctor Strange.
Wow.
I will make that known. You know how Marvel
above the line?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how they do the pre-credits? Like they break it up in the Marvel movies? He made the pre-credit.
Wow.
He doesn't have a fucking line in that movie.
Does he have a name in the movie?
He does. I don't think it's ever spoken, but it is in the credits.
That doesn't make sense to me, but good for him.
Yeah. I have too many movies where he just shows up. He has a cup of coffee on the set, and it's like, well, there's goes $15 and a spot on my shelf. And this movie is no exception. So this is Prisoner of War, as directed by Louis Mandylor, the younger brother from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. There is a connection between these two, Scott Adkins and Louis Mandylor, in that they seem to be friends at this point in real life. Like they did a couple of movies together, at least 2. They did the Debt Collector movies, which very confusingly are called The Debt Collector and Debt Collectors World.
Okay.
Kind of like Alien, I guess. And very confusingly, both of them are killed at the finale of the first film and are resurrected without explanation in the second film, serving as protagonists once again. I think they just realized, like, oh, wait, we want to do it again, but we killed our characters, so we'll just keep moving and maybe no one will notice.
Right. Okay. Sure.
They were both in those movies. It's almost like a buddy cop type like scenario. So the 2 of them had almost like equal screen time. They both did a lot of action scenes. In fact, they do one opposite each other, the second one, which is kind of fun. Like it is a blatant riff on They Live, where it's like they get in an inexplicable argument, and just throw hands for 5 minutes in a back alley, even though they're friends. It's just like this just apparently has happened.
And it escalates like into way too intense choreography for what it necessitates.
I mean, nobody's yelling about putting glasses on, but it just keeps going, and it's kind of great because they know what they're doing. Like you know that the filmmakers and you know that the actors all are in on the joke.
Nice.
But the point is, these two have a working relationship. They were on the set at least 2 movies together. They also have some common directors that they've both worked with. There's a lot of connections going in this movie. But I believe this is Louis Mandylor's directorial debut.
It looked like it.
Let's get it.
I mean, in my research, it looked like it, but I mean, yes, Freudian slip. The movie does have the feeling of someone who hasn't directed a lot, but has promise. He could. I'm sure he could make better ones down the line.
So I'm going to let you lead for a bit, Sean, because I've been rambling for quite a while here. So this movie. You feel free to attack it from any angle you want. Keyword attack, I guess.
Okay,
but just go, man.
To be fair, I would say that I probably came into this movie as a victim of its hype, and some of that I'll say was because I trusted you, and you were very enthusiastic about watching this one.
You damn fool!
I realize now that the enthusiasm was probably more about it's another Scott Adkins movie, and you've since informed me afterwards that the batting average of like really great Scott Adkins movies might be like 20% or something around there.
Yeah.
So, but also there was really good reviews. The advanced IMDb rating was like shockingly high for a streaming action movie. And so I just kind of like, I should have given that more scrutiny because all of that can be, part of a coordinated little, press campaign to get movies in front of people in this crazy chaotic deluge of content that we have these days. So I went in thinking like this is going to be the World War II direct to streaming movie with that martial arts to end all World War II direct to streaming movies with martial arts. And I didn't know anything more else except I did see the trailer, and the trailer's pretty awesome. Like they do a really good job of taking pretty much the best moments that they could and like making this look really, really epic. The problem comes when you see full sequences play out in the kind of the shot to shot flow of fight scenes, and the general everything about the plot, which was just frankly absolutely baffling. I wasn't really sure how they were going to justify a bunch of martial arts scenes at a POW camp. I was kind of curious about that. And they had a rather creative solution to their story engine here. It took a while to get there. It's basically we have our lead, the RAF pilot Wright, played by Scott, and he gets shot down and captured, not before quite spectacularly killing a fair few people, which immediately made me go like, why are they capturing him? Like he's alive. Like he's really, he just killed a bunch of your guys.
He's
like
very dangerous.
Yeah. It's like they had the opportunity to take him out, and they decide to capture him. Which, historically, yeah, I guess that happened a lot.
I mean, he's very muscular, but I don't see this man being that talented at digging trenches. He's not.
But like his bargaining chips, like I guess they might have like, I don't know. I'm not super up on my World War II history about POW camps. But I guess I know that like the British POWs, the Westerners, were tenderly treated better than like Chinese soldiers that the Japanese captured. So, it's fine. We can forgive it at that point in the movie. We then get a series, like the movie just kind of meanders of the camp deciding, you know what, we should kill him. And then they go and do a failed execution where he'll kill all the people trying to kill him. And then they'll capture him again and they'll bring him back to the camp and decide what to do with him next. And it's like, wait, you made a decision to take him out. And then that didn't go right. And now you're putting yourself in a position where he can kill more of your ever dwindling supply of soldiers. Like, I don't remember how many times we went through the process of like deciding to execute him and it not working out.
Yeah.
But I was definitely like, where is this story going for quite a while? And it turns out that at some point, now I'll admit my memory's a little bit of a blur. The leader of the camp kind of sussed out based on vibes of like that Scott Adkins' character has been trained in like some form of like super duper kung fu with forbidden techniques, and the general needs to learn them. He can't bring himself to kill Scott Adkins until he's absorbed all his kung fu mastery. And I think it was like at least halfway through the movie until like that finally became clear and made it like, oh, okay, that's why he's been willing to like go through this cycle. But I can't think of like a more inappropriate choice for like your storyline in like a World War II POW movie than to integrate like the trashiest chop socky 1970s kung fu
oh no,
comic booky kind of stuff. It was just like, this is unhinged. Like, what is going on?
It's, as you've been talking, it's kind of, it's even more apparent than it was watching the movie, which it was readily apparent is what I'm trying to emphasize here. That it's basically like two, maybe even three different stories smashed into one, when really they needed to devote focus towards one character arc or one character story.
Probably.
And
or at least the stories that are like just more tonally consistent with each other if they're going to mash them together, because they were really all over the place.
They needed, basically, in my opinion, they needed to go all in on one of those things, because if they had gone all in on the martial arts aspect of things, you could do that. I can actually see a movie working quite well in that way, where it's like it's like a shared madness of sorts, where it's like emphasize that the walls are closing in, the allies are approaching, they're going to bomb the shit out of the camp or something. So the commanding officer of the Japanese encampment is losing his goddamn mind. And in spite of everyone around him telling him, like, you're nuts, like, you should be focusing on, pulling up stakes and maybe avoiding the bombs that are coming, for some reason, you're still making us do martial arts drills and stuff. Like, maybe make it more evident that even his own people are suffering at his hands. They do kind of hint at disagreement.
Like go Mad Max with it. Just go over the top and just super fun, and don't even, try to like have a semblance of adherence to history. Because they do, and then they also don't. And it's just bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what's happening here is like, first time director. So we have Louis Mandylor, and a thing that people tend to do is they tend to lean into things that are familiar, things that they want to pay homage to. And while I'm not a connoisseur of POW cinema, I am well aware of the classics, like Bridge on the River Kwai is probably the most famous one, and I have to assume a lot of inspiration was drawn from it. I think there's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, the David Bowie one, I believe. I believe that's also a relationship between a Japanese and British officer of some sort. There are movies of this ilk, is what I'm getting at.
And The Great Escape. Clearly, like that's one that I think this movie seemed like it was trying to evoke like 30% of the time, which totally does not mesh into Shaw Brothers insanity. Especially when all of it has such a straight face. Like, this movie really is not, like you were saying, the what was the other one that the two guys were in, where they died in one and came back in the next one?
Oh, The Debt Collectors.
It's not the debt collectors where you're saying they're in on the joke. Like, this is very straight faced and very baffling in the way that it chooses to be straight faced.
Yeah, I agree. Where it's like they needed to go one route or the other. Like either make it like really hardcore, stark, brutal, maybe more grounded or something, make a more legitimate drama out of it. Or if you're not equipped to do that, maybe just go ape shit, like you said, go mad mad
Mm-hmm.
with it. Also, an
Yeah.
idea that occurred to me that wouldn't have wouldn't have made Scott Adkins fans happy, I don't imagine. But like an idea that occurred to me before we started recording was what if the Japanese commander, played by Peter Shinkoda, by the way, I recognized him from Daredevil, the Netflix.
Oh. Okay.
He's Canadian. Um, what if he was the main character?
Mm.
Because to me, what you would do is you would treat the Scott Adkins character as like almost like an apparition or a monster of some sort, where it's like every time
Right.
it sends him out there, for some reason he just perseveres, and then he goes back to his cabin or whatever, and then he just keeps coming back, and it's like, what the fuck is this guy made of? He's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
The cat came back.
Oh,
Very next day. It's like,
that could be a really interesting tweak to be as faithful to what the story was as possible.
what it was trying, what it thought it
because
would be.
so much of it hinges on the explanation of getting into this guy's head of like, why is he doing this and why is that important to him? And a lot of that is kind of left to the audience to sort of figure out,
They fumbled
or just kind of, yeah. And the framing of the movie too, like it opens with, it's very much about the bad guy. They like set him up to be this like, super important figure and the protagonist's, development. And then we can, definitely have some thoughts about the ending I want to get into later. But the
bookend is embarrassing if you ask.
It definitely started the movie off in a really poor foot. That was just kind of cheap looking, and it's like, it's not what we're here for. It was totally unnecessary. Maybe the movie would have been better if they just clipped the intro and pasted it onto the front of the epilogue and made that one unbroken scene. It's still not a good scene.
No.
But it was the way that the movie unfolds with it is particularly clumsy. But to make the bad guy the protagonist and show his like kind of descent into insanity, like that would be really interesting to like humanize, like, look how much the war was hell on everybody. Like, these people aren't just super vicious for no reason. Like that could have been an interesting anti-war statement while justifying all the martial arts they wanted to put into it still.
To me, it wouldn't even have to be a war, like an anti-war statement of any sort. It's just like, you need to just complete the psychological profile of the character. I need to understand him, and they didn't give me enough. The math equation doesn't quite add up. I was still left with questions that I don't have a problem with keeping things enigmatic, but I do when the movie seems to think I got it when I don't.
Yes. Well, it's like the classic thing with so Finding Nemo is notorious for the director Andrew Stanton having insisted, and he got overridden by Pixar, that the reveal that this is what a tangent, so relevant to Prisoner of War, our what was his name, Marlin, whatever, the lead clownfish dad dude, they were gonna not show like kind of the backstory of all the eggs getting eaten until late in the film. So you're gonna like go through the whole movie being like, man, this guy is so neurotic, like helicopter parent, like, what's his deal? And it's like, here's his deal. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. But like, meanwhile, we've just gone through the majority of the film not emotionally connecting as much as we could have, because you held on to this critical information about the character for the sake of a twist. Later, I believe Andrew Stanton got his way when he did that in the John Carter movie and was critically quite battered for it, but particularly that decision, I think, was one of the sore spots for a lot of viewers, where it just kind of didn't really serve the emotional connection. And so this movie it's the same thing. We're going through a whole bunch of the movie, not understanding how this guy ticks. And we finally do, but it's not even really, it's not given that much weight even. It's just kind of casually done. The audience is left to, sort of piece it together, which is not always a bad thing. Here it is.
There's too many breadcrumbs left that unfortunately don't add up to a meaningful whole. Because you have some sort of symmetry with the characters in the form of them both having like war hero fathers.
Oh, right.
Could have been interesting if they made something of it, but it doesn't mean anything really. Like if you somehow establish that our Japanese commander, again, Peter Shinkoda, like if you establish maybe there's some sort of complex with him where he perceives himself as a very weak person given dominion over a very small encampment and being robbed of that power that he did not have for much of his life or something is deeply painful. It's a wound to him because they do like hint that like him losing control of the situation is gnawing at him.
Oh yeah.
Having the allies encroaching is gnawing at him.
That's where the movie gets kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like he does have this kind of one note feel for the first half of the movie. It's like, it's not a bad performance, but it is kind of like, it's a little 2D and a little hammy. Like so many of the scenes are just him, like it's almost mustache twirling, but just kind of a little understated.
Yeah.
But just all this like smirking about how evil he is. And it's kind of like, okay, how many times are we going to do this? And then, yeah, when things go wrong, like I was quite impressed with the dramatic, like aspects of the character coming out in the performance of like, he does kind of have the descent into madness a little bit.
When he pulls out the pistol, that was a very effective scene.
And well, also when you've got, jumping way ahead, but like the end of the main story where Wright does get away and he's about to be shot by one of the soldiers, and the bad guy, our general, I don't even know what his position was, whacks the guy's gun away so that he saves the protagonist's life, because the possibility of that knowledge not disappearing is more important to him than like, winning and keeping his prisoner in the camp or killing him. I was kind of like, oh man, that scene deserved such a better film supporting it.
He's doing some acting shit too in that moment. Like he's doing some good face acting there. It's a moment, but it's actually captured quite well. Like there are capable performers in this film. Like actually, I want to say everybody showed up to some degree in this movie. Like I didn't detect any real laziness.
I might have a slightly different opinion on that one.
I'm curious who you would direct that to.
I was baffled by the Beard character, the guy they just call Beard.
Oh, Beardy.
Like, I didn't understand what his... it kind of felt like he was a comic relief character.
I think that's what they were going for.
But he didn't actually do comic relief.
No, he was
kind of quirky. He was kind of weird. It's like, why is this guy dressed up like Tommy Chong in this POW camp and being kind of like, he's kind of got this laid back vibe. Like he doesn't really, again, like I didn't really feel like he was trying that much in his acting. It was interesting, but it was strange. It's underused character, I guess. All the supporting cast doesn't really get a whole lot of time to be developed because, again, it feels like they're part of a different movie that's getting 1/3 the runtime that it probably, could have had, sharing a screen with like these other thirds of different movies. So, yeah, I don't want to pick on him, but I was just not really sure what that character's like role was in things.
I think it was a clash of tone or something where I believe you're correct in his position is supposed to be that of comic relief, but like you said, the whole movie's so po-faced, like it's so
like he matches the vibe. He stands out a little tiny bit.
He's quirky, not funny, but maybe they should have just made him like just cut him loose and let him be funny.
I would be here for it because the movie at its core, with what they chose to do with the story and like the general the premise and the explanation of everything, it's ridiculous, and just a little bit more fun might have helped, even though that's like sounds blasphemic for like World War II prisoner of war movie, but we already are there, like, because this is a ridiculous justification for all the story beats that unfold. Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of the martial arts, it doesn't have a lot that sets it apart from the pack, because in terms of like brutality, it's not like a remarkably gross movie or anything like that. In terms of entertainment value and comedic value, like The Great Escape is actually a very enjoyable movie in most respects. It's serious because it is about a serious situation, but the characters are very human and multi-dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also historically, like, their depiction of a POW camp was rather tame. Like, yes, there's a lot of executions. There's a lot of senseless violence, but like there's not really any torture. They're not really like dismembering people for fun. There's like it's pretty tame.
Yeah.
The worst that we ever really get in terms of torture is they string up the protagonist and beat him with some sticks for a bit, and he comes away with some bruises, but he's still in fighting form.
I've seen worse on WWE on a Friday night. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, they could have used some metal folding chairs.
Yeah, where are our steel chairs? We only have kendo sticks. What the fuck? It wasn't the budget. I'm sorry.
But the weird thing I noticed was like there was a lot of brutality against all these unnamed disposable.
Oh, the Filipinos.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many scenes where it's like they just get picked on, and it's like, oh, they're never gonna give any of like the Western characters like a senseless sudden death. Like it's always a big moment, and I guess only one white guy dies in this movie, and it's a
hero's death.
Oh yeah. Sort of undone by the fact that he doesn't get to stab the dude after he's shot. I felt for him for that. But yeah, they're definitely treated with a different sense of like value.
I think that is probably semi-accurate, unfortunately.
It is. So like maybe that was a deliberate choice. But it doesn't really come across like that's the reason. It's kind of just seems more like, oh, these are the protagonist's friends, and he pretty much is just with these other
What's baffling about that is that there are several American POWs that are given names that bunk with our main characters that do nothing in the movie. Like, do absolutely nothing. There's a character who's named the Greek. He's introduced as the Greek. It's like, oh, well, he's the Greek. He's going to be interesting. He has a name. He has a title.
His narrative connective tissue to My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he might be a friend of Louis Mandylor. Who knows? But point is, we have a character name. Like, he's got a name. He bunks next to Scott Adkins.
I completely forgot about that.
I don't think he has a line. Like, there are other guys in that bunk that do nothing.
And if they had a couple of those guys who were basically red shirts,
yes,
to raise the stakes to be like, the Westerners can be senselessly slaughtered, then there would be some stakes for like the characters, instead of thinking like they're all mysteriously, untouched by the horrible violence going on here, and it's just inflicted on the poor Filipino people.
I mean,
who, by the way, there's some kind of like uncomfortable stuff where it's like, I think Scott Adkins, like, he does something that like he gets, it gets found out that he's done something sneaky, and some Filipino people pay the price for it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of stands there like, we don't even see like an emotion of like, ooh, I feel bad that they died because of things that I got caught doing. It's just kind of like, it's like the movie doesn't care about them just as much as the people running the POW camp.
I mean, filmmakers' tips, and tell me if I'm wrong here, Sean. Like, you could supplement that with he doesn't need to react in the moment. In fact, it's in his best interest not to.
True.
Cut to him in his bunk, like punching the wall and screaming and like
a
fit. because he had to choke that down or something.
Right. Even if it was like a bad scene where someone's like, "What's wrong?" and he's like, "I feel bad that those people died."
Yeah.
Like, it would be better than having none of that emotion.
So angry. Telling you how I feel right now because the director told me we needed to do this.
Now, on that note,
Here are 4 investments.
Scott Adkins' acting in this was not like, it didn't strike me as bad. It kind of struck me as like he didn't have anything really to work with in the script.
Yeah.
But I wasn't convinced whenever he was speaking at all. I was convinced when he was emoting. Like, he has great face acting.
He
like
does.
When he's
He really does.
Serious or scared or injured, like he sells it. And I'm like, I'm in. But then he starts talking and I'm out. Like, I had to look up the fact that he actually is British, because I was like, is he putting on a terrible British accent for this movie? And it's like, no, it's just an unconvincing script that he's not able to be convincing in his dialogue.
Now, because I can do this because I'm a super fan. I can contribute, Sean.
Excellent.
He is, in fact, doing a shitty British accent.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like it.
No, he actually is. Because I believe he's from northern England somewhere. I know the joke about that place is that every 2 blocks there's a new accent or whatever. Point is, he has that typical sound to his normal speech pattern. He's doing some sort of affect or something where it's like he's trying to affect like a period accent of some sort.
Yes.
So he's using chap. Like he'll use that as an expression. So there's just certain elements of his diction that are clearly
it's like,
choice is being made.
It's like you look at Scott Adkins and it's like, you do not have a face that tells me that you would use chap in common parlance.
No.
Like, this is not a natural vibe for the character.
He's a mate. He says mate, not chap.
So yeah, it's kind of like either miscasting or miswriting the role.
It's the writing, Sean.
It's definitely
It's the writing.
I mean, considering the fact that Adkins brought like some really good stuff to it, and the script brought goofy, crazy garbage. Yes, it's the writing, but definitely the two things as they were not really compatible.
No, I say it's the writing because we've hinted at it, but the structure of this movie is maddening.
Yeah, I really had trouble figuring out, like, at any point, like, what's our forward momentum? Like, where are we heading? I had to watch this movie over 3 nights, averaging about 40 minutes a night, because I was really tired from other stuff, but also because the movie kept putting me to sleep because I just couldn't like get excited to anticipate where are we going next. And maybe, take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I'm extra bitter about the fact that my YouTube rental of this movie expired halfway through because I didn't finish it in 48 hours. I had to rent it a second time. I spent $15 to rent this movie.
I'll buy you lunch when I see you. I owe you, man.
But I think it speaks to the fact that, like, this movie needed something to give it a bit more drive.
Yeah, it needed drive, it needed direction, because the structure is highly repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's repetitive in such a fashion where it draws attention to the lack of propulsion, like the lack of inertia backing anything that's happening. It's just like, why are we repeating ourselves? And it doesn't help that from a visual standpoint, it ain't much to look at. Our locations are not diverse. We have a few sets,
and they're kind of cheap.
They're kind of cheap. It doesn't help that the first one you get to see is the ugliest piece of shit you'll ever see.
Yeah,
that set is, I'm sorry, embarrassing. In fact, I wrote a handful of notes about this sucker. I'm not going to read them all on the air.
Some of them are too spicy to be immortalized.
Too spicy, but I just had a couple of nitpicks. I may as well just throw them out there, because this is what happens when you watch something too closely and you have a phone in your hand. One of the rice paper panels in the background, like over the shoulder of the leader of the dojo, is torn. Like, you couldn't patch that. Like, you couldn't just do another take, because I could There's a panel missing. I can see it. Like it's just flapping in the breeze.
Maybe someone got pushed into it right before the protagonist showed up. And
I don't know.
Bad first impression.
I don't know, but it's like it's right there. It's like I can see that somebody's got to fit because it's the only one. Like the rest of it's immaculate, and that actually draws too much attention to it because a dojo should be lived in. It's clearly not a dojo. It's just right.
Oh man, lived in. Yeah.
With padded matting instead of tatami mats because tatami mats are probably expensive, and we couldn't afford that. Also, by the way, in the camp, I noticed one of the soldiers had how they have like ankle wraps around their to like secure their pant legs. His bandages were loose and dragging. Like, an officer's got to chew that guy out. I'm sorry.
That's another execution.
Yeah, seriously. I was like, it's like clearly in view, and I'm just like, oh man. And then there's a weird cut to a full moon at one point to serve as a transition between two scenes that feels like it was a placeholder on the timeline. Because it is a black sky, just a round white moon for a few frames. It's clearly a stock image of some sort, and it's gone.
Maybe it was to signify. Was it a full moon then?
Yes, it was.
It's like here we go with the insanity, I guess, of the bad guy. Maybe kicks in around that point.
I mean, that's how driving works here in Seattle. It's you look outside, it's like, oh, moon's full. Better stay home. Also, the radio sound in the movie. Anytime somebody turns on a radio, is identical to Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Oh,
the PS2 version. I can't speak for Delta, which just came out. And then, John, this is going to transition into a rant, so apologies. If you have shit you want to get in, now is the time.
No. I'll wait my turn. There
is a fight sequence in the finale of this movie, not the final fight sequence, but basically the big final dust up with all the upheaval in the camp.
Yeah.
That is prefaced with a literal Godzilla roar.
Was that like for the planes or something?
It is a literal Godzilla roar sound effect. I'm surprised Toho hasn't come a calling with some lawyers.
Well, it only just came out, so maybe this will alert them to that fact.
It literally happened. Like I don't know if you remember the 1994 Street Fighter movie.
Oh yes,
remember Zangief and E Honda fighting on the Shadaloo diorama. They cut to the video feed of them fighting, and they're playing Godzilla roars over it.
Oh,
it was literally that. I was like, "Excuse me, baking powder."
But was there a reason that was detectable for why that sound came up in the movie?
Well, Sean, I'm glad you asked. It's clearly because a Japanese man is about to fight an American guy. It's clearly because there's a Japanese combatant involved.
Okay.
Well, like I said, there was a rant incoming. That actually wasn't it. I needed the world to know that because I don't know if it's documented anywhere on all those highly positive reviews that you had mentioned are online at the moment. This not being one of them.
No. Well, the IMDb rating has gone from a 7.6 to a 5.9. I just checked in the last couple of days.
That seems more reasonable.
Yes.
The two fellas involved in that particular fight are worth mentioning. And I'm curious, did you recognize either?
No. You're talking about the main henchman of the camp, and then the one white guy that has an actual death scene.
And dies. Yeah. So to explain it, Donald Cowboy is his nickname. Cerrone or Cerrone, I'm actually not sure on the pronunciation, is the American who gets the glorious death scene. Spoilers, I guess. But he's an ex-UFC fighter.
Okay.
And in fact, he's done at least one movie that Scott Adkins is in. I don't think they shared the screen though. But he has been moving into acting largely in unfortunately conservative cinema. I think that Terror on the Prairie movie, I think he's in that.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah, I think Ben Shapiro funded that one.
Oh, sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that's next on our watch list.
Oh my God.
Point he is an ex
Bible action film movie month.
I want to see an ex-UFC guy and Gina Carano, that lady who got fired by the Disney Corporation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're sticking to a lane.
Yeah, they know that there is a lane. There most certainly is a lane, and they do tend to find each other, and he's in that lane. Point is, he's a ex-UFC guy, has legitimate martial arts background. So it's no surprise that he throws hands at least once in this movie. I don't have an emotional attachment to him. I've seen him get his ass kicked a few times. I think Conor McGregor knocked him out in seconds. I think he was the guy that got shoulder checked to death. It's the first time I've ever seen that happen to anyone. But the fella that he fights against, though, the number two, Endo,
is
character's name.
Fast.
He is amazing. And
like,
it was so goddamn depressing that he didn't get a scene with Scott Adkin.
Yeah.
On paper, Sean, that was why I wanted to see this movie.
Oh.
Because I knew in advance he was in it.
Right.
It's like, oh, fuck. His name is Masanori Mimoto. And he's been, like Scott Adkins, in the Japanese stunt industry for 20 years. He's worked in Hong Kong. He's worked with Donnie Yen. He's worked with the best. And he's surging at the moment, actually. He's had a really good few years. In fact, I mentioned this at the top of this recording. He has a movie that just came out on Blu-ray in our region today called Ghost Killer. And there's kind of a revolution going on in the Japanese stunt world the past decade or so. There's a choreographer by the name of Kensuke Sonomura, who this Mr. Mimoto works with quite often. They've been doing some amazing work in recent years. There's a very, very, very unique and distinct style that they use, though, that I don't know if it's propagated beyond Japan. So I don't know. Like, you get to see a taste of it, like some of that quickness that you saw, the fast hand movements.
Which was unlike anything before that point in the movie. It was definitely like, I'm sitting up on my seat now. Like, this is the real shit.
I love that in martial arts cinema. It's like, there are levels to the game, and you take notice when somebody moves in an interesting way. Because that's why martial arts cinema is fascinating to me. It's because movement is interesting to me, be it camera or human. Is just for some reason, the elegance of movement is something that really strongly fascinates me.
Especially if it like kind of informs like the character and gets you more insight into like how they are or the themes of the story. Like there's so much that can be explored there, often is underutilized.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the storytelling that is done through body language, through movement, to me is a huge aspect of my interest in action cinema.
Yeah.
And there are people who just have a sense for it. That's why I like Scott Adkins, is because he is a good physical actor.
Oh yeah.
I think aside from what I'm about to describe here with Masanori Mimoto, aside from that, I think my favorite fight scene in the movie might have been with the kendo sticks, because Scott Adkins is supposed to be injured in that sequence, and he carried himself in kind of a rubbery sort of way that was not done in the rest of the movie. And it's kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Somebody doing elegant choreography whilst moving in an intentionally inelegant fashion. It's kind of like the drunken boxing thing, where it's like there's a coordination here in its lack thereof.
Yeah. And a raising of the stakes and more relating to the character. It's like, oh man, he's going through the ringer and has all these factors against him, and yet comes out on top, sort of.
I mean, he does get knocked out at the end of that. He beats the person,
but not before basically taking out another couple of lives of this ever shrinking camp of soldiers that are probably important.
It's like, man, you're just throwing your employees into the wood chipper.
It's like, how many lives are worth this forbidden knowledge about this kung fu technique?
I mean, that would have been something they could have done. It just occurred to me, like a simple filmmaking thing you could have done is if you had made those American characters available to be killed off, Just a
Mhm.
simple visual of showing people not in their bunks, like just showing
Mm.
that their numbers are dwindling. Like, oh, we have less resources. There are fewer of us than there were before. Maybe
Yeah.
even do a thing where you parallel it with the Japanese, where it's like the infirmary is full today because they got fed to the prisoner guy for no real fucking reason.
Yeah, like for all the brutality and like seriousness on display, there's like really not that much like melancholy. Like they could have gone way more into like the actual human toll of all this violence, and it's just kind of brushed over because they're just moving too fast in too many weird directions to linger on like the actual human side of it all, which is odd.
Yeah, very highly unfocused. There's a lot of holes in it, and also it doesn't help that a lot of the like excursions like out of the camp and like wandering the camp at night are tensionless. It's like it's a
Mm-hmm.
camp. Like normally you'd have like a thing where it's like they have to avoid patrols or something. They do kind of cover their ass a little bit where there's mention in the script of it doesn't matter if you can get out because we're in the middle of the jungle and there's nowhere to go. But still, it's like, it's like they freely just come and go as they please, like seemingly at will.
It does reduce a little of the tension. Yeah.
But to wrap up on Masanori Mimoto, I would highly recommend you look into his work.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
said,
I'd love to.
he is surging. Like
I'm glad to hear these established because that was a highlight of this for sure. It was a great fight scene.
it was. Unfortunately, it was between the wrong people because, like Cowboy, as I said, he's has a legitimate martial arts background.
Mm-hmm.
But as you and I both know, maybe better than some other people, legitimate fighting experience is not screen fighting experience.
Mm.
They are different things. One is a
Right.
form, another one is fighting, which doesn't really matter. Like aesthetics aren't important in real fighting. Whereas having a good sense of lenses and cameras and angles and lighting and things like that, knowing how to emote and act
Right.
in the midst of the physicality is a skill.
I mean, some of the best fight choreographers and action directors out there can make a non-fighter look tremendous on screen.
Yeah.
So,
have you seen a ballerina, Sean?
not yet. Just a couple clips.
Check it out.
Okay.
It's on the action front, like it's pencil thin, like in terms of the plot. But on the action front, supposedly there were a shit ton of reshoots on the movie.
Right. Kind of a director swap.
Yeah, and a director swap supposedly hasn't been confirmed publicly, but I wouldn't be surprised if that really was the case. Is our director on paper anyway, the best track record. But point is, from an action standpoint, it is very good. Like it does not disappoint.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All that to say, Ana de Armas, I believe she has some degree of dance background, but all the martial arts training she did, as far as I know, was just for the movie. Maybe she got a leg up because she did a couple action movies prior to that. But she's not like a true blue martial artist or anything. But yeah, great choreographers and great filmmakers can make a non-fighter look like one.
Oh yeah. 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 I guess that fight scene probably wouldn't have stood out as being as much of a disappointment for you if it actually properly delivered on what it kind of set up in its conclusion of here's, that's when it really establishes like, oh, this is a scary second, this is the right-hand man. He's a great fighter. Oh, look, he killed this guy. Oh, he did the supervillain thing where he like rips off his dog tag and chucks it in the mud, presumably just so like people can't recover it from his corpse and like honor him or something. Like it was just like a really mean moment. And you think, oh, he's going to get his ass kicked by Scott. And he never, that's a loose end. Like, I think he's the guy who's going to shoot Scott and the main bad guy pushes his gun away.
He is.
And that's the last you see of him. He survives.
Presumably, yeah. He survives and moves on to the other camp to torture more Americans.
Which is so weird. It's like, it's such a stock thing. Like, you'd think that by just reflex, people making an action movie would know you get this guy killed by our hero at some point.
Oh yeah, no.
Or the end.
Steven Spielberg would look at that in the script and be like, "Are you fucking serious?" He had his comeuppance. It has to be poetic.
You come with the most, just the most cruel comeuppance for him too.
Yeah, no, a T-Rex would step on him
and throw his remains into a wood chipper.
No. What would happen is Scott Adkins would stab him in the neck with a dog tag. He would rip his own dog tag off and key him in the throat with it.
Right.
Or he'd, I don't know, like impale him with an American flag, like that he just finds in the jungle in a glider.
Your first idea is great.
Point is, wrong kid died. I mean, something needed to happen. There needed to be a resolution there because too much heavy shit happened in too small of a time where it's like, oh, well, clearly we're setting something up for him. Because the whole movie, he's like simmering. In fact, like, I didn't mention this before, but Masanori Mimoto is like, he is an actor. He's not known for that primarily. He's largely a stunt player. As I said, though, he's getting bigger roles in Japan anyway, past several. The bulk of the Japanese dialogue, though, falls in his lap because I am not positive, but I want to say the vast majority of our cast are non-Japanese speakers. And Peter Shinkoda speaks Japanese, but it's not ultra fluent. I've seen him speak the language in a few different productions at this point. And he also slips into English on occasion, even while speaking to Japanese soldiers in the movie. So quite a lot of the Japanese dialogue in the film ends up being spoken through him. It's very interesting. Like, and also he, as a result, because he gets so much of the dialogue, oftentimes speaking for the leader of the camp, speaking on his behalf. He actually does have characterization. It just unfortunately doesn't have a resolution. Like, he's the one who's urging the lieutenant colonel, Ito is the character's name.
Okay, I'll stop calling him the general then. Now I know.
He's the one who's urging him from the get-go to just kill him.
Right.
He repeatedly urges him, but he's deferential to him because of the command structure.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's like, oh, that's a character trait. It's like he has an opinion, but if he's given an order, he will follow it.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of it, it's like it's a little hazy. Where it's like he's starting to act independent of things, and it seems like he's slipping a little bit because he's getting a little more aggressive than he used to be. Mm-hmm. And he's clearly not happy about not having been able to shoot Scott Adkins.
Yeah.
But then he exits the movie and we don't see the follow-up to that. Like, what became of those two guys who had
really gotta wonder if that was the plan, or if there was there were compromises. Like, maybe they decided to cut some stuff out because things went awry in production and they couldn't get that fight scene and called it a day. Or maybe there was a plan to make a sequel where, they finally pay off that fight that didn't get to happen. I'm curious.
Let's get into that. So there's not a whole lot to say, but Scott Adkins and Louis Mandylor, director, did do a podcast together to promote the movie. I did listen to it, watch it, right? And they do talk a little shop. They do talk about the making of the movie. And I guess the story about the production is that Scott Adkins is a producer on it, I believe. I believe he supplied portions of the story. I don't know if he did the whole thing, but certainly didn't write the script, the premise maybe. Mm-hmm. They lost at least 3 days, and this is a very, very low-budget movie, which did not have a super long shoot, so that's a lot.
3 days is a big blow.
Yeah. Again, Sean is an actual filmmaker. He knows what these things actually mean. Like, I can say 3 days, but Sean has felt days. He's probably experienced it.
Yeah. I just went a little grayer hearing that.
I can see the PTSD coming out of your pores. So they lost apparently like 3 days to rain conditions, unexpected rain conditions. And as a result, apparently a lot of the dialogue, like they touted it as something to be proud of, but to me, I heard it and I was like, that's worrying, Apparently they shot like 18 pages of dialogue in like a day. Sean's face, it should be in close-up right.
I mean, 10 pages in a day would be like, whoa, kick ass, guys. That's productive. 18 is like, are you even caring about what you're shooting?
That's why I said, that's why my eyebrows went up. I was like, excuse me? Like, you're proud of this? That sounds, and you wonder why people's ankle bandages are dragging and why
Oh,
the
God.
panels are torn in the background. It's because somebody
God.
didn't sleep at the wheel. But yeah, 18 pages in a day. And I believe it's the dialogue sequences in their bunk. I believe it's a lot of,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
I guess maybe I have to imagine a decent amount. It's probably improvised or something.
I mean, I will say that the cinematography in this movie, like none of it's bad, but like almost every shot with occasional like glimmer of something that seemed truly deliberate. It just has this very workman-like quality to it. Where it's just kind of like, we're going to set up, some lights that make everything look about the same. And then we're going to shoot a bunch of coverage that, for all I know, this might have been a multicam movie. I can't tell. It kind of looks like it. It's there's not a lot of motivated camera movements. There's just camera movements. Like I don't think there's ever a tripod in use. Like even when there's a static kind of angle, there's shake. It's like someone is holding it. It's got that vibe.
Yeah, you're
it
right.
pulled me out of the period kind of feel. Like I don't know why. Like, it shouldn't. There shouldn't be rules. People should be able to do shaky cam in World War II, like handheld style. Spielberg obviously did it in his way, but this one, it just hits in a very cheap kind of not really like making choices kind of fashion. It just kind of feels like, we got to go here. That looks good. Okay, get it. And it just, you feel it. It just emanates off the screen that way. And in the fights too, which is where I was like, I didn't really mind it so much in the dialogue stuff because it's not the draw and it's, it's fine. In the fights, as you said when I texted you about my initial reactions to this film, it's just around and around she goes. It's like the camera carousel. Any shot that's more than a few seconds seems like it's going to manage to do a 180 around the combatants. It's in constant swinging motion. Like there's very few times where it really just holds still and locks on something. When it does hold still and lock on something, it's usually like a very tight kind of close up that doesn't give you a sense of place. It just feels like the whole movie is trying to hide the fact that like the people can't fight, but they can. Like it's Scott Adkins. Like you don't need to use these techniques. It just makes it like look like you had to, and like it kind of undoes the power of what like I'm pretty sure was bringing in those moments. It's just kind of squandered, which is baffling.
So, thank you for expressing all that from a filmmaker's standpoint, because so much of what you said about the camera movements in particular, and just the harried nature of the production feels evident. Like the way you had phrased it made the most sense. We're not making choices, we're just doing stuff.
We're just getting 18 pages.
That's what you do today, honey. I got 18 pages. Man, are they?
It was a choice. It was the one choice I made all day.
I hit the button and we just went. Shit happened. I blacked out. Another thing that you said, though, and this is a key thing that I'm surprised it took us this long to mention, hiding. So something that was mentioned on that podcast between Scott Adkins and Louis Mandylor was that Scott Adkins was injured day one of production. A hamstring injury of some sort. And apparently he flopped on his back and said, I'm sorry, which, man, the pressure on that must be amazing. Like it must be incredible to like, because most of Scott Adkins' movies are ultra low budget, probably shot very quickly. But the draw, as you say, is the action. And not only the action, it's him doing the action. Like all
Yeah.
of these guys use doubles. Everybody uses doubles. That's just understood. That's part of the game. But at the end of the day, seeing the guy, you're paying your ticket price to see Scott Adkins do Scott Adkins things.
Yeah.
To
And I've seen enough Scott Adkins fight scenes now to know that like that's an element of the stories. Is it's usually about him getting horribly injured as a character and managing to overcome that, and with clearly like the stakes are super high. There's immense pressure, and now it's like life imitating art, I guess. So no wonder he was a bit stressed.
apparently, it's not uncommon to work hurt. Kind of similar to a real fighter, actually. Apparently, a lot of stunt people just work hurt a lot of times. Unfortunately, it's just that kind of job. Occupational hazard, unfortunately. But he was injured on day one, and as a result, he was limited. So this is not top shelf Scott Adkins. He just simply could not give everything that he could give. And as a result, the choreography was altered somewhat to be more grounded. They do actually have their saving grace in that area is that it is a period film, and as such, you do get some grace in terms of the representation of the martial arts in the film, because there would be anachronisms if you saw him doing modern day techniques in a 1940s setting.
Even more than what were on display, I guess. Yeah,
I mean, they are present for sure, but there is a bit of a saving grace there in that, like, his trademark aerial kicks and things of that nature wouldn't have been in vogue in the 1940s. You wouldn't expect it. Like Taekwondo wouldn't have reached the United States, certainly. But
maybe that's what they were trying to lean into with the original story. Like maybe they were going to have him bring that style of action, and they're framing it as the forbidden techniques. Like, this is so new and different, and I need to absorb them.
Well, there is most certainly a nod. You mentioned chop sake. I think that's a very appropriate word choice. There is most certainly a distinct nod to Bruce Lee in this movie, which I have to say. Everyone on this like anyway who's in this line of work is a fan of the man. But Louis Mandylor is a first-time filmmaker doing a martial arts film with his friend Scott Adkins. I have to assume is also a fan of Bruce Lee. There's essentially a bolo character in the movie who does bolo things.
Blink and you'll miss him.
Really, that whole scenario is the dragon is punish these men, big burly Asian man with pecs, not spectacular pecs like Bolo Young, but still pecs.
Oh no, he got hit in the head and fall down. I lost another precious guy. In my insane quest to learn this guy's punching technique.
He goes down in 2 hits, yeah. and the whole death touch thing, it's like, I don't remember what they call it in the movie, but it's essentially they call it the dim.
Something about an open hand, something or other.
Despite coming from a closed fist, but whatever.
My God, that final scene.
I believe that actually came from the director. Like, Scott Adkins kind of breezes past it during the podcast, and it's like, is that your way of objecting? Like, is that your way of like stifling your objection, Scott? I
wouldn't blame him.
To the more mystical side of martial arts, because like Scott Adkins has been so steeped in the world of modern martial arts that like the mysticism aspect of it has kind of been just squeezed out of it, honestly.
Yeah, well, okay, let's get into it. This is the peak of ridiculousness for me in this movie, and it helped me enjoy it a little bit more because it was the movie was not going to redeem itself at this point in the film, in the final 3 minutes of its runtime.
No,
it leaned into what the absolute fuck in a big way. Where, okay, so we've been introduced to the son of the lieutenant admiral in the beginning prologue as this framing device. We come back, Scott Adkins is still talking to him, and we learn, I guess, for Scott's POV, is such a anticlimax. He comes here to see the guy's dad, beats up every single person in the torn paper wall dojo, and then talks to the son, learns, oh, he died last year. Okay, see ya. And he like peace out. But the son is like, wait, I must know. And it's like the obsession from his father has like been passed down. He's now the torchbearer for like needing to experience this technique. But like rather than like have like a true motivation of like using it, he just is curious about what the heck it is and wants him to use it on him. So he like begs him to fight him with the technique. So he fights him without the technique for a while. And then finally, when he beats the son and he's just like all in his like finish him moment, we get a big dramatic clear. The filmmaking is all telling us, like the language on display is like, here it is. We're gonna get to see it. He's gonna do the super move on this dude, the open fist move where he closes his fist, and then like just does a normal ass punch that he stops short of actually, doing anything, and like in slow mo has the wind in the guy's face for a dramatic effect, and then the guy just like, it's this moment of nirvana for him. Like he was just had a spiritual awakening, getting a taste of the forbidden technique, but also being spared from it. And it's just the fact that it's just a normal punch.
It's a normal punch.
It's a normal punch.
It's a hammer.
It's a normal
blow.
And he doesn't connect. He just and I was telling my wife about this to be like, this movie's insane. And I demonstrated, and like, when I stopped short, like it did the same wind thing in her face. And I was like, oh, it just happens when you do that. Like there's nothing special. There's nothing absolutely amazing about this moment. It's just made out to be this humongous thing. And he's so happy. He feels it's like he found enlightenment because he almost got punched in a normal way. And that's the end of the movie.
So often tends to be the case. As you're talking, I'm actually like thinking of ways that you could try to make something of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm certainly there's ways to improve.
Not necessarily the technique itself, because like honestly, if you wanted to do it justice, probably what you do is just not have him do it. Like just have him deny him that. Or it's like your father was a bad person, you're a bad person too, or something like that. Or it's like you haven't earned it. Like I don't care. Like, give me my medal back. Thanks for tell your dead dad. Thanks for all the torture and all the murder. But no, what occurred to me was one, he does it exactly one other time in the movie, and it's against the aforementioned Bolo character. So what would have made it work better, I think, is if you had him deliver it in desperation, because he has a helpless man in front of him when he does it. Like the movie goes into slow motion and he just like bashes this guy's head in, and the guy's like on his knee. Like what if in the midst of like being in mortal danger or something, he did it because he had to? Because that's so strange. Now that I mention it, now that I say it out loud, it's really weird because he doesn't kill any of the other guards. He intentionally spares everyone else for the most part after that. So why did he kill the first guy when he was helpless? I mean, I know he was directed to, it was like, he said to the death or whatever. So it's like, I guess that's the rule. He has to kill him, but like maybe show a little bit of resistance or something. Like, because he operates from that principle going forward. But like that way you can have it be a thing where he wasn't intending to deploy it. He wasn't intending to demonstrate it to anybody. It's just, he didn't have a choice and it came out. And then Ito was like, oh, I noticed you did, like, he did a thing where he killed a really big dude with one shot. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then you make a little bit more of a story beat out of that instead of a rushed series of what's going on, where like that changes the trajectory of the character in a much more tangible, emotional way. Yeah. Instead of just like, oh, I guess we're doing this now. And that's why. And probably like doing the technique earlier in the film than he did might have helped too, just to like, or at least something that hinted that maybe he had something that the guy wanted to see brought out of him, and that's why he didn't want to just kill him outright from the get-go, maybe.
Or maybe show Ito like practicing and attempting to perfect the same technique. Like maybe he is familiar with it, but he has never been able to execute, because they show him punch the desk or whatever. Like he punches a hole in his desk and he hurts himself in the process, and he's like, how come I get hurt and he doesn't?
Oh, right.
So like emphasize that aspect of it, where it's something he has been actively pursuing.
Yeah.
And now he's finally, it's like seeing like the big, like,
which would definitely be something you could do if he were like the main POV character of the movie, which I think we both agree that would have made for a more interesting take on this story.
Yeah, and in terms of visually representing the punch, actually the movie that you and I talked about 4 years ago, Fearless, when he does the corkscrew punch on the fella and you see his shoulder blade push outward.
Uh-huh.
It's a simple CGI effect. It's not super complex or anything. But
yeah.
Holy shit, the impact of that's like,
yeah,
that's not normal. He just demands heart into his spine.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that feels pretty forbidden.
Yo, wow. You shouldn't teach people how to punch people that way. It's like people would do a whole lot less punching if they did that. I would imagine.
Maybe the other way is they could show it by not showing it at all. Like he demonstrates it, but we just don't see Scott doing it. We see the reaction of the guy, and then you hear a Godzilla sound.
There you go.
And then he smiles.
Bling.
That honestly would have been better than what we got.
It's very lame. It feels like out of time. Like it feels antiquated. It does feel chop socky. It feels kind of hokey in a slightly embarrassing kind of way.
Yeah, like if they did this movie decades ago, before it had all been done to death, like maybe it would have been like, okay, yeah, it's the first time seeing some of these concepts, but it's well-worn territory and they don't really do anything that innovative.
No,
it's a missed opportunity for sure. But it does sound like there were some serious pivots and compromises to the plan that had to be made. So, yeah, who knows what we would have gotten if the weather played nice and Scott didn't get injured right out of the gate.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the plan was to have him have a scene with Masanori Mimoto. Like, but due to the injury, it's like, I can't give you my best, so let's save it for another round.
Yeah, it would have had to have been like Indiana Jones and the sword wielder.
Yeah, the
completely outclassed and unfair victory in his favor.
Right. Or for folks that aren't aware, Harrison Ford had some wicked diarrhea or something. That's the story. He had some nasty diarrhea, and he was supposed to have a protracted fight scene with the swordsman in Rages of the Lost Ark.
It's all intricately storyboarded and everything.
They had a plan, and Harrison's just like, my guts are falling out my asshole, Steve. I'm terribly sorry. And that's how we got that iconic.
And he suggested it, right? And Steven, I think he's, he could sense like, oh, that's brilliant. Yes. It was like the right kind of pivot. And the poor swordsman was prepared for like, the fight scene reel, like the fight scene of a lifetime for his acting reel, and was completely robbed.
I mean, that has to suck. Where it's like you did a lot of training or something for that scene.
But if he got to do that fight scene, that would have been probably like, it probably wouldn't even crack the top 10 like best action scenes in that movie.
No.
And now instead he gets to be in one of the most legendary moments of the entire series.
One of the most legendary moments.
Silver lining there.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like, I'm sure it was bitter in the moment, but like history has shown, like that guy's career, like he gets to live that moment forever. Honestly. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a plan, like to bring a Japanese stunt player of that caliber onto the set. Like there had to been like some sort of enthusiasm. Like,
yeah.
Although I did I did see in an interview with Scott Adkins, not the one he did with the director, but a different one, a different podcast he did on YouTube. Apparently, he wasn't aware of who Masanori Mimoto was. Like
Interesting.
he didn't know of his skill level until he saw him working with Cowboy Cerrone. I was like, Jesus, Scott.
maybe he had a real busy filming schedule.
I mean, if you look at his
I know
he's highly prolific, so maybe, but yeah, it's a little worrisome because Scott Adkins doesn't work in Asia that often. So for him to be in his backyard in Miyamoto's region, not that common. And Miyamoto isn't at the stage of his career. He probably never will be at the stage of his career where he'll work outside of Asia. So the chances of them overlapping again are a little slim. And neither of them are young either, which doesn't help. So,
hopefully everyone involved senses the missed opportunity that is in the finished result and tries to rectify that, because that would be a nice, outcome.
Yeah, I would love to see them work together. And I guess like wrapping up here probably, but I will mention that apparently the camera operator and I think one of the choreographers, maybe even the same person. I think the camera operator might be one of the coordinators of some sort.
Oh,
I don't know their name off the top of my head, but they I believe are Australian, and Louis Mandylor is as well, Greek by way of Australia. I believe his kind of claim to fame is he's worked on tons of major productions, but somewhat recently he did Monkey Man. Did you?
Oh, that's been on my list. Like it looks pretty balls out. Like I've got to check it out sooner or later.
Worth a watch. It's not a great movie. Like it has flaws. It's not amazing in every aspect, but it has at least one excellent fight sequence.
Nice.
And that's another example of a coordinator and a director, cinematographer, everybody in the production making a non-martial artist look like $1 million. It's definitely does some shit. Yeah. So that was interesting to see somebody of that caliber working on the film. Unfortunately, not his best work, but unfortunately, it's nobody's best work. The hope is, Scott Adkins' next will be better. But like, it is like 20% are bangers, and then there's the rest or whatever. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about this one. It's very thin.
I've got some nitpicks to smack it with while it's on the ground.
Please kick him.
I took some notes. Like, the number of times going back to like all the times where just the poor Filipino prisoners get executed. Sometimes it's like a proper ceremonial one, and sometimes it's just I suddenly point a gun at him and fire a few seconds later. None of them was there ever like any attempt to emote or move or be like, I'm about to die. It's just kind of like they might as well have been mannequins that only like react to the physics of the bullet pushing their bodies. Like, I was just like, where is the humanity in these characters? This is completely pulling me out of it. They were just as unbothered by their demises as the protagonist was, and the people who ran the camp.
just whatever. Just let it happen.
There's just not enough time, I guess, for the assistant director to like wrangle the extras and coach them through like 18 pages. Go. You fell down. We shot that. Great. Moving on.
Everything in the movie can be explained away by that. Just 18 pages.
I'll give it a lot of grace for that. I'm just going to assume this movie was shot in 6 days, and it's amazing that it turned out this way. I mean, I'm sure some of the fight scenes were full day endeavors.
Yeah,
because there's moments. I don't think I've given a lot of the scenes there do, like even the fight scenes where it's just like, oh man, that was like pretty generic and the camera work undid a lot of stuff. There's still moments where I'm like, oh, that was clever. Or like, that was a really cool, hard hitting move that made me go, oh, neat. But they're just few and far between.
That is something that I would make clear, is that
Mhm.
the martial arts in this movie are not bad.
No.
It's just kind of perfunctory by the standards of the day and by the standards of our lead performer.
Yeah.
It's nothing remarkable, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, because this is the first Scott Adkins movie I've actually really seen.
Oh, really?
I've seen some movies where he showed up, but I wasn't really aware of him that much until more recent years, because you and another friend are like big fans of his, but I still hadn't like actually seen one of his movies, just seen some little clips.
Oh.
And so so when I asked you, like, I need to learn more about Scott, like what are his best fight scenes? And you sent me at least a half dozen that took me like a half hour or more to just sit through. And I was just like, oh my God, these are insane. Like they're so good. And some of them are very recent, like contemporary with this one. And they just blow it away. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's not his best. It's fine. But like actually one of my biggest complaints about the nature of the fighting movie isn't like the quality of the choreography. We already talked about the nature of the cinematography and the editing.
Mm-hmm.
But the choreography seems fine. Like it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
And like the 3-on-1 fight, the barehanded fight is pretty decent. And same with the kendo stick fight. That's pretty good stuff. Like again, the structure is part of the problem. Is that a really good martial arts movie, kind of similar to bring it all back, The Swordsman from Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's a signature moment. That's a signature face-off between two characters that, it crystallizes in your memory. To make a great martial arts movie, you need to have that. It can't just be guys fighting a guy. It has to be that guy fighting that guy. It's like Drunken Master 2 when Ken Lo, super kicker Ken Lo, comes out doing his wiggly leg stuff. It's like, oh, I got to get super drunk to fight this guy.
Yeah.
You need to have some characterization. You need to have stakes. You need to have storytelling in fighting. You need to bring me in and make me care, and that requires characterization.
Oh yeah. The movie was lacking in that. It was also, what was lacking even more so is any sense of like set pieces. Like Drunken Master 2 and Raiders are like just some of the top tier like of action set pieces.
Yeah.
Like each action scene is really distinct, and it's got like cool almost gimmicks that kind of define what elements are on the table for like how things shake out. This movie, I don't know how many scenes just are people fighting in that dirt circle.
It's just fighting.
Sometimes it's just the number of combatants or the fact that they have sticks that kind of changes, but like it gets real old.
I have an expression, Sean. Everything is wrestling.
Yes.
And I mean, I do have a way of making everything relate back to wrestling in some fashion.
We're wrestling right now.
with this film.
We're putting on a big bombastic show and being assholes. And
the nature of wrestling is that a lot of times you'll put on wrestling and you won't know who either performer is. It's their job to bring you into the drama and explain to you through their physicality, through their performance, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's gunning for what objective, like who's the cheater, who's the straight player, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of storytelling that can be done on the fly, and this movie doesn't do much of that with its physicality, with its acting.
Yeah, hints of that, and mostly toward the end. Yeah, definitely. Like a good fight scene, like ideally you'd be able to just kind of like, glance over your shoulder in like some, bar with the sound off and see like cool spectacle and understanding what the characters are thinking and trying to do and how they're feeling, and just very, be able to appreciate it on a visual level alone as a nice, like, baseline for an ideal fight scene or any kind of action.
What's kind of shocking is that for a movie that leans into the kind of antiquated mysticism associated with martial arts, don't exhibit a lot of it beyond like a choir on the soundtrack and slow motion on occasion. When they come out of that cabin at one point, I was like, oh, somebody saw Gladiator. But, there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of characterization that went into creating a sense of unity among gladiators in the, the Ridley Scott movie that kind of built things up a little bit. But
yeah,
what I'm getting at is stillness is something that's underrated in conveying action.
Sure.
Because a lot of times, like, some of the coolest shit in a fight, like, the fight is obviously that's the stake. That's the main course.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to make like a truly like legendary fight, build up is so important.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a whole movie as your canvas to work from. Like, just simple things like two people making eye contact in a room. It's like, oh, he's gonna fuck him up later. Not right now. Like an hour and a half from now, we're gonna walk in. Like, we're gonna have our main character walk into a room, kind of like the Raid 2, the finale in the kitchen, where it's like you get to see those two guys off for 30 seconds in the middle of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, there was an escalation there, and then quietly he walks into a room and you again. And then very mannerly they square off, and it starts off mannerly and it just turns into like a parade of violence. But point is, there's no stillness in this movie.
No,
it's just fight.
There's no stillness and there's no real sense of escalation.
Yeah, there's no stillness though, in that there's no like facial close-ups indicating like who is, like, before we even start throwing punches at each other. It's like just simple things like a character making eye contact with someone across the dirt ring or something.
Yeah.
And especially in Japanese martial arts, because all the antagonist characters in this are supposed to be Japanese soldiers. Like, footwork and balance are foundational elements of Japanese martial arts in particular. They're not known for volume punching and stuff like that. It's usually like one shot is kind of the objective. It's just like block, and then that's kind of it. Like, you see that in a lot of, like, not today, but like in like older forms of like Japanese fight choreography. That was usually the objective. But like simple things like that, and you see that again, the Raid movies, the things they do where they're digging their toes into the ground, in that silat technique in those Indonesian films. That's also a Japanese thing, and you have a dirt ring to work with. Just simple things like people getting their footing right or squaring off, such a it really gets your blood pumping before anything even happens.
Yeah, I mean, that kitchen fight in Raid 2, like, my heart literally has never beat faster at any action scene, like, by far. Like, I've enjoyed a lot of action scenes, but that one is transcendent, and I have to be careful about how often I watch it because it could put me in the ER.
Transcendent is the word. I did you see that in the theater, Sean?
Yeah,
I did too.
Oh yeah,
I saw that in the theater with my brother, and I remember walking out and like, and I was like, I think I even said it. I was like, I don't think I'll see anything better than that.
Yeah, it really had that vibe.
It's like, I don't know if I'll go the rest of my life and never see anything that happens. And I don't feel about it.
And maybe part of it was just the sheer amount of, like, build up over the course of the movie leading to that scene that also set the stage well. And it's a very unconventional movie, and it's a weird one. And I would say that the first film is probably more effective in most ways, like maybe even a better film. But the highs of the second one, they're just truly bonkers. So good.
No, it's a spectacular movie. It is sprawling and maybe a little messy in the way it's.
Oh yeah,
but
it's more flawed.
It's more flawed. It's less pure, I guess. But like you said, those highs are the highest ever, basically. Still, honestly, I don't know if I'll ever see anything better.
I think the last 10 years have indicated that maybe making that movie just took all the director had, because I don't think he's been able to like kind of continue to push the envelope in his work in terms of action since then.
Did you watch Havoc?
No, I was cautioned against it.
Yeah, I can't recommend it because it's not a good movie. It does have a couple of very good action scenes that almost feel like a little bit throwbacky in some regards. Little John Wooey, where it's like guns can do anything. It's kind of like Homer Simpson opening the beer can with a gun.
Okay, maybe I'll just check out some scenes then.
So you don't need to watch the movie, but there's the club action sequence and then the cabin shootout, and that's kind of it.
Okay.
So there's 2 action scenes that are quite good.
That's not enough. I know I would be disappointed as a viewer in just that.
It also makes a horrible first impression. Some horrendous CGI.
Oh, great.
And it's like, you wouldn't expect that from the director, where it's like, hang on, you're the guy who was like handing
the real human physicality.
There's that famously, and I think it's The Raid 2. There's that scene where they had to shoot it, where the cameraman literally had to hop from a moving vehicle into another moving vehicle, and then put a car suit on top of himself to disguise the fact that he's in a new car.
Right.
It's like, so instead we're just CGIing it. Okay. I mean, it's a Netflix.
Huh.
That's so unfortunate. The guy who made one of the a couple of the single best action movies of all time just made a Netflix movie. And that's largely what it is. So sad. I'll still show up for anything he does. Like he's earned that level of respect. But it's like, go back to Indonesia, call up Iko Uwais, see if you can get him, see what Iko's up to. Iko hasn't done shit in a while. Call Iko.
I mean, that was some spectacular stuff. That meant something.
It did. You changed.
So I hope I hope he gets the opportunity, and that he also recognizes like that was a thing. Like, there's probably you can do more movies. Like, I mean, don't take a massive leap backwards, please.
Netflix does seem to have some sort of inroad into the Indonesian film market, because you do notice a lot of Indonesian stuff pops up on Netflix in our region.
Right.
The Shadow Strays. Did you watch that one?
No, I don't think I even heard that title.
Neither had I, but John, watch it.
Okay.
It may have been best of 2024 in terms of acting.
Oh, crap. Okay.
And you have a leading actress who's very young. I think it may have been like a lead debut for her. Certainly a debut in the action realm, but holy shit. It kind of flew in under the radar. It has a god-awful name. Like, it sounds like a joke, honestly, but The Shadow Strays.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well,
there's a lot of Indonesian
going on the list
on Netflix that is worth your time.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to report back after I check that one out.
I think it's The Night Comes for Us is what it's called.
Wait,
is that the Joel Edgerton movie I'm thinking of? I get the titles mixed up. Let me confirm this.
The Night Comes for Us. I have seen scenes of.
Yeah, it is The Night Comes for Us.
So are you saying it's the same makers as Shadow Strays, or?
I believe so. I think it's Timo Chayanto.
Okay.
Is that a name that's familiar to you?
No, but I'm on IMDb and verifying that you're correct.
Yeah.
He did Nobody too.
He did, and
that's on my list too.
I haven't heard great things about it, but Timo Chayanto, his track record is terrific in Indonesia. But just the fact that he got an 87 North or 8711 production, like an American film under his belt, it's awesome. Like that's super big. I'm super excited for you.
That is great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for putting him on my radar more properly, because it sounds very much like something I should check out.
Yeah. No, the Night Comes for Us. That's from 2018, I think. There's some great action in there. The final clash at the end of that one. It's a little gross, but
Yeah, it's like the Squicky Raid movie.
I think the nickname. I don't know how far it's propagated, but I think since the Raid movies, and in particular, seems to be like an Indonesian action cinema staple,
Mhm.
probably because of the success of the Raid films, is they call it splatter foo. Because it like I have to imagine like the coordination of it's probably similar because like if you're like rigging like blood effects and gore effects in the midst of doing complex choreography and stuff, it's probably similar to doing a horror movie at times.
Oh yeah, they're definitely blending so much horror into the Raid movies. It's still with like restraint. Like Night Comes for Us is on a whole other level of just bodily
Yeah,
destruction.
the
But the Raid is still like very like, oh, that was rough.
yeah, no, the deformity and bodily destruction
Yes,
visited upon people in that movie.
it is a bit in your face.
It's like I've always said there's a thing like Guillermo del Toro has a thing about face trauma. He
Oh
like
yeah.
fucking up people's faces. I've
Yeah,
noticed.
and just reveling in it and being like, "This is uncomfortable, right, viewer? Can you feel it happening to your own face? I hope so."
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like that seems to occur in a lot of his movies. Like people get stabbed in odd locations. It's like normally you just cut the throat or whatever. It's like, no, I'm gonna put it in his sinus cavity. I'm gonna put it right in the middle of his face, but just below the eye.
Up the nostril, out the nose, into the eye.
Yeah, not through the eyeball, but like around it. Out just a little bit.
Or they can like put some leverage on it, and you see the eye bulging in place. And yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it's a thing I've noticed.
It's I guess it's art. I don't know.
I mean, my theory with some of these guys is like it makes me consider like maybe some of these guys have seen a lot of really bad shit, and this is
Just
how
like trauma processing.
I mean, yeah, honestly, like Paul Verhoeven, proper pronunciation. I am marrying into a Dutch family. I need to know these things. I always said Verhoeven, but
Everybody probably does.
yeah, everybody, but got corrected at the dinner table by the mother-in-law. Like, oh, excuse me, Verhoeven. But yeah, Paul Verhoeven, like known for ultra violent movies, but the guy lived through World War II, like Nazi occupied Holland.
Oh, yeah.
So for him, it's probably just all a joke. He's like, ha ha, he exploded. And then like what?
Right, like gory violence isn't what shakes him so much as like, actual, the threat of fascism itself is kind of what motivates the horror behind his storylines.
Yeah, so. There is I wouldn't even call it an undercurrent in his movie. It's like it's not.
Well, apparently, it's too much of an undercurrent for some people to somehow still miss the point.
I know,
like Starship Troopers.
Starship Trooper. Yeah, I mean that's an example of kind of like Wolf of Wall Street or something, where it's like you do know like there is a message behind this. You're not supposed to want to be these guys, right? Or like Scarface, or it's like Tony Montana's not a good person, right? You're not supposed to want to be Tony. You're not supposed to.
I'd say cinema literacy is dead, but maybe it was never even alive in the first place.
Like, no, you're not supposed to want to go shoot bugs. You've completely missed the point.
It's the thing that all artists have to contend with. The fact that, like, I may be indirectly responsible for my work inspiring in the viewer the total opposite of what I'm trying to say, and some horrible consequences coming from it. Yeah. But persist we must, and make our work anyway.
Yeah, persist we must, and if you're
hope that it lands with more people than it doesn't.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you can have a fruitful career and do it long enough to the point where you can do like Martin Scorsese and make movies like The Irishman to basically rebuke all of the mixed messaging that came out from all those gangster movies he made in his years. Like you watch that. Have you seen it, by the way?
No, I've not. It's a bit of a commitment for me as a father. Even this movie was hard to fit into my schedule.
Yeah, point is, it's very much like a response to for anybody who misread what those movies were about. As fun as all that looks, there is a price, and it's not a good one.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah, but he got to, he's lived long enough and made enough movies that he got to examine his own contribution to the culture and recognize, like, I should probably do something about that. Make a movie that's too long for nobody to bother watching it.
The people who need to get this message are just going to focus on the fact that I had too old of a guy kicking a guy in this scene, and
Man, I mean, that's a subject for another day. I mean, we can wrap up, Sean, because again, father, I'm sure you have real shit you got to get to, not like me, but
slightly.
First impressions, like this movie, Prisoner of War. By the way, that was the subject for today's discussion. In case you missed it, Prisoner of War has a terrible first impression. That first set is hideous, and when I mentioned Havoc, that CGI truck chase is, it's barf-inducing. And then The Irishman, first 10 minutes, Robert De Niro. I had a friend who is a Scorsese fan. Turned it off. I can't handle that. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. It's certainly not a human being.
Oh.
The de-aging the effect that they do, because the movie's largely chronological as far as I know, is most apparent in the early stages of the movie, and then they reach an equilibrium where they're de-aged but only slightly.
Right.
But the early goings, it's like, oh wow.
Maybe they're trying to do that a few years earlier than they maybe could have.
Yeah, it always happens. It's like what Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within or whatever. It's like photorealistic. Photorealistic is not yet a thing.
Yeah. The most photorealistic film ever made within the Uncanny Valley.
Couldn't have put it better myself. We should wrap up so you can get back to your fatherhood.
Yeah.
So this was Prisoner of War, directed by Louis Mandylor. Like I said, it came out like last weekend. We both watched it. Sean unfortunately had to rent it twice, so I do owe you one. I will follow through on that next month, I guess, because I'll be seeing you. But yeah, Sean,
I have two last nitpicks I'd be remiss to not mention.
More?
The nurse costumes.
Oh,
tell me that was like, it looked like they'd literally grabbed the most glossy blue satin off of Joanne that morning and whipped them up. Like, they have no wear and tear. There's like no sign of dust on them until like deep into the fight scene after they've like killed some people. Like, I was shocked. The stitching like is obviously like nothing looks period accurate. It was just, what the absolute heck?
Yeah,
I had to take a photo of the TV to show my wife.
I'm glad.
Like, do you see this? And she was like, oh. And she's like a costumer. Like, she knows, a bit about how things ought to look, and is shocking. It's like it's for me. It was even worse than the chintzy paper wall dojo scene. It's just...
No, I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to pass over it. I was just gonna let roll. But like, yeah, those costumes and the hair and makeup on them is,
oh yeah,
it's embarrassing.
It is, and it just kind of feels like those characters were like from an era of action filmmaking that like seems like it's 30 years out of date, where it's like
it's Rambo too.
There's nothing to them as characters.
Yeah. They
show up at convenient times. They look excessively pretty for the circumstances, and there's no depth. Yeah.
They look like pinup models from the era.
The quality of the costumes match the depth of the writing for those characters, I guess. So maybe they went in the right direction for that.
They're heavily tokenized, and their inclusion is entirely extraneous. And they look totally out of place. I kind of get what they're going for. It's supposed to be, like I said, like a pinup something or other from like the 1940s, but again, in the setting, it makes no sense. And also, like you said, it draws attention to the lack of attention to detail in the costuming and the set dressing. Because even Scott Adkins' shirt, like the blotching, like the mud patches and stuff, it looks wrong. Like it's like you could have just told him to lay down and roll or something. I mean, staged.
Most of this film, if you just like look at shots that are not the soldiers, you wouldn't be able to tell it's a period film. It looks like dudes in t-shirts in the jungle fighting, and it could have been contemporary. Like the cinematography gives it that feel. The costumes give it that feel. The haircuts, the way the hair and makeup was, like nothing screams period. No, until there's like actual, like, okay, these are World War II, soldier outfits, but like it just barely sells it.
Nitpick number 2.
Last impression is it's a petty one, but like the end credits, like literally it's a piece of stock music that I've heard in my own like subscription libraries. Like it's the exact recording. It's not just like their own recording of a song. It's like that's a really cheap song that I've heard in a lot of like just like people's YouTube videos. And they just kind of like layered like a gal scatting on top to like make it more than just the stock music. But it just kind of put a little bow on the whole thing to be like, cheap to the core is kind of how this movie sadly is.
That's a fitting end.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I had a question for you, like a filmmaking question, I guess. I mean, the nature of CGI is so different these days because models exist online and can be obtained either through money or just like pirating or whatever the fuck. And there are enthusiasts when it comes to World War II in particular. There are so many enthusiasts who I presume do 3D modeling, stuff like that. Point is, this stuff is just readily available. I don't know anything about 3D modeling. I could probably get, a B-17 bomber, whatever, and just have it on my hard drive. A photorealistic, fully textured, lit, whatever.
And the software to render it perfectly with like something like Blender. It's for free.
Exactly.
And it's like Hollywood quality, like rendering ability now.
Exactly. You can do that as a hobby. You
could literally train yourself with YouTube in a few weeks to like do some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So my initial thought when they show Scott Adkins's plane going down, it is a fully CGI aerial battle sequence. Like my initial thought was like, oh, that doesn't look half bad. And then logic came to the fore and I was like, oh, it's actually not very hard to do anymore. So I was like, was that expensive or not at all?
I don't know.
Like, did that require an injection of capital or something? Because it has a gloss to it. It has a quality to it that is punching above the weight of the rest of the movie, honestly.
Yeah. And I'd say that's a matter of how savvy the producers are in like getting the bang for their buck, because you can do amazing effects for nothing, and you can also do mediocre effects for spending way too much. It kind of depends on the techniques and who you get.
Yeah.
So
I was curious because I think in the conversation between Scott Adkins and Louis Mandylor, he mentioned acting in a cockpit set, which is not present in the film. So I'm curious if like maybe somebody pulled the plug on trying to render the effect that way and just farmed it out, or maybe they secured funding to just like do it right, do it better.
Maybe. Like, well, at the end of the film, there's some dialogue in the plane, and that one felt like that might have been a real set.
That was a set, yeah, and that was like shit. The exterior shots of the plane and the glider were fine. Some of the aerial shots of like the jungle and like smoke billowing up from the jungle actually looked fine. The interior shots of the glider were like Seinfeld, like projection style.
Consistent with a lot of the other craftsmanship on display in the film, though. So
I just think of Ed Wood when dude gets stuck in the doorway and the whole set goes.
Aren't you going to refilm that? A man like him would have to deal with that every day of his life.
Excellent. We got one in. We got an Ed Wood quoted. On that,
well, that makes it a good day.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Anytime I can do that, that's a good day. Okay, well, let's wrap things up. So, Sean, thank you. Thank you for
My pleasure. Thank you.
I really hope we can do it again soon, maybe semi-regularly or something. This is great.
Yeah, there's no need to wait another 4 years. So
Yeah, let's not do that.
well, I think last time we actually kind of, teased an idea, and let's not do what they did in this movie and not deliver on the big clash between the two, heavy hitters. We talked about doing the kung fu hip hop connection
Yeah.
to Romeo Must Die, Cradle to the Grave, and Exit Wounds marathon.
That's the triumvirate, right? Kung fu hip hop connection. Yeah, we got to do that and Unleashed.
Yeah,
so
that'll be a good palate cleanser.
Yeah, maybe we'll way in between.
I'm literally being ushered away, so I better leave it there. But it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me watch this movie, despite all we had to say about it. I very much enjoyed it.
All right. So. Have a good night, bud. Thanks a lot.
You too.